Hello, good morning, everyone. My name is Hamidan Irham. I'm a student at NBA ITB. I made this video to fulfill my final term exam and economic business and landscape analysis subject. So the topic is about the macroeconomic effects of carbon pricing in Indonesia. Let's go to the slides. Climate change and global warming are important and highly discussed issues today. According to the IPCC on the sixth assessment report, greenhouse gas or GHG emissions continue to rise, with levels of carbon dioxide, methane, and nitrous oxide reaching record heights. Global temperature rise has already reached 1.5 degrees Celsius. To limit global warming, the report emphasized the need for rapid and deep emissions reduction across all sectors. The report emphasized the importance of transitioning to renewable energy, improving energy efficiency, and implementing technologies such as carbon capture storage. The energy sector, including power generation, accounts for about 73% of global GHG emissions. It's so high. And most of these emissions come from burning fossil fuels, such as coal, natural gas, and oil, to generate electricity. This makes the transition to renewable energy sources, such as solar, wind, and hydropower, crucial to reducing overall emissions. The usage of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas have a negative impact on the environment. Look at the pictures, it's all the carbon dioxide. And with over 75% of all greenhouse gas emissions and almost 90% of all carbon dioxide emissions coming from fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas. Fossil fuels are by far the biggest cause of climate change. Heat from the sun is trapped by the GHG emissions, which cover the Earth. Global warming and climate change result from this. The rate of global warming is higher than it has ever been. Weather patterns are shifting due to rising temperatures, upsetting the natural equilibrium of the environment. And the threats to human and all other life forms on Earth are great because of this. Okay, now coal has been the main source of electricity generation in Indonesia for almost 2 decades. Power generation from coal increased from about 35 terawatt hours in 2000 to nearly 190 terawatt hours in 2021. Oil use for power generation continues to decline, and natural gas use in power generation has doubled since 2000. Also, in recent years, it has stagnated and declined slightly. Electricity generation from hydro, bioenergy, and geothermal increased by nearly 4 times over 2 decades. As energy demand increases, so do the carbon dioxide emissions. The emissions profile is driven not only by an increase in the total amount of energy supplied to the economy, but also by a 30% increase in the amount of carbon dioxide emits per unit of total energy supply. Total gas emissions from Indonesia's energy sector are around 600 million tons of carbon dioxide in 2021. It's really, really high, and it's the problem here. The power generation sector accounts for 40% of total carbon dioxide emissions. And again, coal is the biggest driver and accounts for nearly 3/4 of. Demand for more oil and natural gas in roughly equal measure accounts for an additional increase in emissions. So to address greenhouse gas and climate issues, Indonesia has a roadmap for energy transition using renewable energy such as hydrogen energy, geothermal energy, solar PV, etc. The goal of this transition is to achieve net zero emissions by 2060. Indonesia has set a vision to utilize green hydrogen, ammonia, and CCS to reduce its carbon footprint. Indonesia targets the use of green hydrogen as alternative energy for the transportations, industrial, and household sectors. In addition, Indonesia is also implementing a carbon tax to reduce carbon dioxide gas emissions caused by oil, and gas. Carbon tax is one of the pricing policies widely used by several countries, like Finland, Japan, etc. In Indonesia, presidential regulations number 98 in the 2021 on the implementation of NEK state that carbon levies are defined as state levies at both central and regional levels, based on carbon content, carbon emission potential, amount of carbon emissions, and performance of mitigation action. Furthermore, the implementations arrangements are carried out in accordance with the provisions of laws and regulations. Those carbon levies can be in the form of existing state levels. And the carbon tax rate in Indonesia is 30 rupiah kilogram per kilogram per carbon dioxide. The implementation of carbon tax may affect Indonesia's macroeconomic conditions, such as additional revenue. So, how about the macroeconomic effects? Because by the carbon price, how about the Indonesian GDP, Indonesian revenue? How about the renewable energy? So based on that research, researchers do study analysis for the macroeconomic effects of carbon pricing in Indonesia by doing literature review from publications and other researchers' journals. The research contains the effect of Indonesian GDP, revenue, carbon emission reduction, and the renewable energy caused by carbon price. So again, in presidential regulations, it states about the carbon prices. And there are two carbon exchange mechanisms. There is a allowance market and offset market. Allowance market is a cap and trade mechanism that is generally applied to mandatory carbon markets. Certain businesses set by the government get a cap in the form of an allocation of emission quotas for a certain period of time. Business that exceed the cap can purchase carbon units from other business that have excess or unused quota. The offset market is a scheme where businesses trade carbon units resulting from GHG reductions or removals by certain businesses and or other climate change mitigation actions. Businesses can purchase carbon units to achieve emission reduction targets and fulfill their commitment to become carbon neutral or net. The implementation of the carbon tax has created a new business scheme, the carbon exchange. The Indonesian government has officially launched the Indonesian Carbon Exchange or IDX Carbon in accordance with OJK regulations. So yeah, we can buy we can buy and sell our carbon quotas like in the market. So let's get the result about the GDP and the revenue. Applying carbon tax will get revenue for the government from carbon tax if applied at 30 rupiahs per kilogram of carbon dioxide equivalent. According to Kamil et al., Indonesia can get around 240 million with a total emission per year is 181 million. And according to Tommy et al. In 2023, considering the anticipated carbon emissions until 2030 and implementing a minimum carbon tax rate in 30 rupiah, the potential revenue generated from carbon tax on burnt material could reach 10 trillion by 2030. It's so big. Nonetheless, whether for environmental expenditures, revenue recycling, or the general budget, how income is distributed needs consideration. Although the carbon tax will increase the revenue for the government, on the other hand, it will cause inflation in energy prices and decrease the GDP of Indonesia. For example, like in South Africa, this research is done by NOM in 2020. The South Africa's GDP will be eroded by 1.17% to 1.59%, where the most affected sector is industrial sector, which is still based on fossil fuels. Next, according to research by Kamandika and Dakal in 2023 about power generation in terawatt hours from 2020 to 2050 using all carbon price scenarios. There's a lot of scenarios like using the carbon price in the business as usual, which means it's 30 rupiahs, and if using the carbon tax plan, that is 2 USD or equals to $30,000, 30,000 rupiahs. The portion of coal power generation will decrease by 29.20 to 27 terawatt hours, and it will switch to gas in 2050. And if the carbon pricing at 25 USD per ton carbon dioxide compared to business as usual, coal power generation will reduce even higher to 253 terawatt hours, and gas will increase by 80.3 terawatt hours, and the solar by 170.34 terawatt hours in 2050. And how about if the carbon price at 150 USD? The coal power generation will reduce even higher to 1,000 terawatt hours, and gas will also reduce by 18 terawatt hours, and the model will choose to increase solar by 426 terawatt hours, geothermal will increase too, and hydro by 465 terawatt hours. So now the implementation of carbon tax has been implemented in various countries. Based on the results, research that has been conducted in several countries, it shows that the imposition of carbon tax will reduce the amount of carbon emissions by a significant amount. In addition to reducing carbon emissions, the implementation of carbon tax also encourage businesses and the public to switch to substitute products, such as products that use new renewable energy. The implementation of carbon tax results in a safe and economic equilibrium, where the imposition of carbon tax is directly related to increase in carbon production costs, and this in turn leads to an increase in renewable energy. The effect of carbon tax on emission reduction in various countries is shown at the picture. So the regulation of carbon tax in Indonesia through the law will trigger business actors and the public to be able to switch to low carbon green economic activities and increase of renewable energy. The effect of reducing carbon emissions by a significant amount due to imposition of carbon taxes that have been implemented in other countries provided a great signal and opportunity for Indonesia to be able to reduce carbon emissions with the implementation of the carbon taxes. In addition, the government can achieve optimal carbon emission reduction by synergizing between ministries or institutions in the implementation of roadmaps and action plans for carbon emission reduction strategies contained in nationally determined contributions targets, new renewable energy development plans, and alignment with other regulations. So the conclusions about this research is the implementation of carbon price will affect Indonesia's macroeconomic conditions. This can be seen from the economic side, from addition of government revenue and GDP. And then in the terms of environment, there is a reduction in carbon emission. Then in the terms of the use of renewable energy, that will change its demand. The carbon pricing can add the revenue to the government, but this revenue can be used by the government to make another investment, especially in renewable energy infrastructure that can reduce carbon emissions more. However, carbon pricing can reduce Indonesia's GDP. This is due to the increase of operational costs for paying the carbon emissions. Next, the energy transition from coal to renewable energy is a very good thing in the future. The more expensive the carbon price, the more competitive renewable energy will be, and the more capacity renewable energy will generate. And this will reduce Indonesia's dependence on coal. A carbon price can significantly reduce carbon emissions in Indonesia. Carbon price can reduce demand for fossil fuels, leading to a substantial drop in emissions from power generation and transportation. And this could help Indonesia achieve its climate goal of net zero emissions by 2060. Broadly speaking, carbon pricing offers Indonesia a viable pathway to achieve its emission reduction targets while driving economic transformations. However, this transition will require careful management to balance short-term economic sacrifices with long-term environmental and economic gains. If implemented alongside complementary policies, such as investments in renewable energy, energy efficiency, and social equity measures, carbon pricing can be a cornerstone of Indonesia's strategy to build a sustainable and resilient economy in the future. So that's all my presentation about macroeconomic effects caused by carbon pricing in Indonesia. Thank you for your attention. And this is my references. Once again, thank you.